Now, I did mention that I don't really want to discuss Harry and Meghan this morning because, quite frankly, I'm sick to the back teeth of them. Front page of The Sun today says the traitor and the dutiful, with a rather nice picture of Prince William, Kate and their children. Front page of the Daily Mail is dignity in the face of treachery. I mean, I think most people are well and truly fed up with the bleating, the whining and the moaning and the me-ism of the Montecito Massive. However, I'm afraid Rupert Bell has insisted that we continue to talk about it, and so he's here now as Talk Radio's royal correspondent to bring us the latest. Rupert, a very good morning to you.
Good morning. In your introduction, there are as many truths as in the Harry and Meghan documentary there. So I deny the fact that I insisted on coming on to talk. So, Mike, I would like you correct that.
All right.
And,
well, let me allow you to set the record straight then in that case. But I mean, I must admit, I am a reluctant observer this morning of this charade, shambles, and absolute, you know, cockamamie load of old nonsense.
It is very disappointing in every sense that it has to come to this, and it strikes me as just what a lonely man he is now. And if you, the whole framework of the documentary, it showed how isolated he is, because the people who were brought in as experts or people to support them in the documentary, how few of them were actually members of his long-term friendship group. There was one friend from school, maybe a couple of others, but that's about it. And it shows you, when you look at that picture, and actually that picture in The Sun is sort of almost mirroring what Harry was having a go at, of how it almost having a go at them, Harry and Meghan, but then picking out Kate and William and doing the dutiful and all that. So that was a sort of microcosm in many ways of what the Harry feels was the problem with not only the media, but the royal family not supporting them. And some of the things they said don't really back up some of the other comments they've made in previous interviews, other statements. And so it left you with an uneasy feeling that basically they seem to have talked themselves, whether it be sitting around in their $1 million villa, into creating more problems in their mind. And that seems to be the sadness. And you think this year at Christmas, all the family, the royal family in the main, will be gathering at Sandringham, yet two who probably would love it with their grandchildren, you would have thought, and they would love it as well, won't be there. They'll be sitting in their Californian villa, maybe in almost splendid isolation, the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. And
counting the money that they've made by selling out their own family.
Well, they've sold out their own family, but actually I think the more concern is, where does this leave them going forward? How can they continue to monetize their brand? Because at the moment they're monetizing it on the rift with the royal family. That's their shtick at the moment. And saying, you know, woe is me, everything has been bad, it's all everybody else's fault. Now, we know that in everything there are always two sides to every coin, and somewhere there is a middle ground. So by no means will we suggest the main royal family have been absolutely perfect, but they've probably been driven to some of it. And some of the ideas that Meghan is just, you know, the one, you know, he felt sorry for her, that she was always on the front page, and particularly that one at the Remembrance Service, which actually I thought was a lovely picture.
Why would you object to that? I don't understand.
I didn't understand that, because actually I know at that stage they were the golden couple. We were off the back of the wedding. If you think about it, they got married in May of 2018, and by the end of 2019, they've done a runner. You know, so it unraveled incredibly quickly. And you wonder why and how that happened. So what was the ultimate catalyst?
Yeah.
And why did Harry, you know, in one minute they looked positive, and those tours to Australia, New Zealand had gone incredibly well. But in the documentary, you hear Harry say, well, the royal family were jealous. I don't think they would be jealous. I think they'd actually be delighted that the modern royal family is being embraced on the other side of the world, where there has been an increasing Republican movement, and the political situation is different with regard to the monarchy, yet they go over there and are embraced by all and sundry. So the royal family, and they know they had a good brand there, with the fact that they talked about the Fab Four. This was the new face of the monarchy. So I think I'm not quite sure where he's coming from. So actually what's happened it was the breakdown of the relationship with Meghan and the royal household, and Harry, probably rightly, supporting his wife and feeling that it wasn't working within the royal household for whatever reason that happened.
But Rupert, the thing about all of this, and as I listen to you, I find myself asking the same question over and over again. You know, so what? If they didn't want to do it, just don't do it. Just disappear and go and find some other way to make money. But unfortunately for them, because they're not particularly talented, the only way they can make money is to cash in on what they are going to tell the rest of the world about what they think happened. But I don't think in the end anybody really cares. You know, if they want to go around living a lovely life, you know, bankrolled by the royal family and the British taxpayer, fine. People would have quite happily let them do that. If they don't want to do that and they want to be bankrolled by people who pay subscriptions to Netflix, equally, I'm fine with that. Just get off the stage and leave us all alone.
Well, the only thing they've got is their association with the royal family, and that's all that Harry has got. And he was particularly good at doing the important work. They invest in Invictus Games and other charities that he was involved in. He was an extremely popular person when he was involved in that, and now you just see him in that documentary looking a shadow of his former self. He used to smile a lot and he looked happy, but right now throughout, and presumably it was done for
well, they still look pretty happy. I mean, you don't see them wandering about these awards ceremonies and these sort of bogus trips that they make looking anything but happy. They look pretty happy to me. Well,
you know, you can be putting on a show, but for 6 hours of documentary, there wasn't too much laughter in it, that's for sure. It was an unravelling of their claims, but although in many cases it was just sort of paper thin, it was allegations without any
once again,
real substance.
You know, watching the coverage last night on talkTV, Piers Morgan obviously was covering it, you know, Jeremy Carr was covering it. You don't learn anything. We don't know any more, really, than we did. You know, you can make as many assumptions out of it as many people who are critical of the royal family will do, but there is no specific allegation about anyone in particular or about any one particular incident.
That's true, but what we did learn is he felt that he was intimidated by his brother at that meeting at Sandringham. He felt his father lied, and that the Queen just sat there passively in the corner. Yet we do know that the Queen was deeply upset by this and wanted to try and bring the family. She had an understanding of what it was like to be the number two, bearing in mind her father was the number two and thrust into the spotlight with the abdication of his brother, having married an American. And that was a far more significant moment in the sense that he was absolutely abdicating his position of the king of this country and what happened there. So the Queen actually really understood what it is to be a number two. Not only that, she was very sisterly to Princess Margaret. She understood, and perhaps one of the reasons why she was so loyal to Prince Andrew was because of his position as the number two, which he was to begin with until the Queen changed the line of succession. So you actually know the Queen did understand what was going on and would have been deeply hurt by this because she has not only a huge sense of family, but she understood the wider ramifications possibly for the monarchy, which last night you saw the way the monarchy is trying to operate, because there they were all gathered at Westminster Abbey, bar one or two who had come to the London International Horse Show, from which I was at last night.
Yes.
So there were three notable exceptions, but apart from that, it was all hands to the pump, as it were, going to the Westminster Abbey and supporting the Princess of Wales. The King and the Queen's consort was there, and you know, I think that showed that it's business as usual as far as the royal household is concerned.
And we're supposed to believe from Sir Harry, formerly known as Herbert, that his father basically lied to him, his brother bullied him, and the Queen ignored all of that because she hated him. And that's kind of his shtick, that's his line. I'm sorry, I'm not buying any of that. I don't think any of it happened, and I think he's talking absolute and utter tosh.
Well, yes, and then you think it's rather sad that all this programme was recorded before August 2022, and following that, of course, a month later, Prince Harry's grandmother dies, and he's at the funeral, knowing he's said all this. It already was, as they say, in the can, having been filmed by the documentary crew, and here he is coming over to his grandmother's funeral, knowing that what they really think is that they were let down by this institution. And if you think about it, the woman whose funeral it was, that she didn't do enough on his behalf to protect him from what was going on, not only from the within the royal household, but on a wider press stage.
Yes. Well, I'd like to say now that I can officially request that you do not ever bother us again with this, Rupert. I've had enough. I don't want to talk about them anymore. Is that all right?
Yeah, is that right? Is it all right if I could go and watch some horses prance around an arena in the XL Centre now?
Absolutely.
Which I will be doing later.
And pick up something for the garden while you're there, and you can pretend you're throwing it all over the odious two of the pair. Rupert Bell, Talk Radio's royal correspondent, thank you very much indeed.